Fans packed Cairo International Stadium on Thursday as Egypt edged Russia 1-0 in a World Cup warm-up friendly. Supporters waved Egyptian and Russian flags, cheering as substitute Mustafa Ziko scored the decisive goal in the 65th minute. The match is part of Egypt's build-up to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Pharaohs face Brazil in Cleveland on June 6 before opening their Group G campaign against Belgium in Seattle on June 15. Russia, still suspended from FIFA and UEFA competitions, continues to play friendlies to maintain form. Egypt will compete in Group G alongside Belgium, Iran and New Zealand. Mexico's National Center for Disaster Prevention, SNAPRED, has indicated that the Popocatépetl Volcano released a plume of water vapor and gases on Thursday. Footage by government agencies showed the volcano emitting exhalations visible from surrounding areas. SNAPRED reported 230 low-intensity emissions in the past 24 hours, accompanied by vapor, gases and light ash drifting north-northeast. The volcanic alert remains at yellow phase 2, meaning possible moderate explosions, ashfall, and incandescent fragments within the exclusion zone. Authorities urged residents to stay at least 12 kilometers from the crater and follow official updates.
You cannot separate security and defense. We have a
Uganda's ambassador to Russia, Moses Kawaluko Kizige, has called for urgent reform of the United Nations, warning it is failing to prevent powerful states from violating sovereignty. Speaking at the International Security Forum near Moscow, he said the UN is losing focus and risks losing its purpose if such issues are not addressed. Kenya's National Security Advisor Joseph Bonet highlighted global challenges, including weakened multilateral cooperation, climate security, and rapid technological advances, warning of serious consequences if ignored. Iran's Deputy Security Council Secretary Ali Bagheri Kani praised the forum as a platform for independent states to cooperate and voice concerns. The International Security Forum runs from May 26 to 29, bringing together more than 180 delegations for high-level meetings, thematic sessions, and exhibitions. South Africa's Presidential Administration Minister Kubuto Nchavani has called for multipolarity to mean shared responsibility and a stronger voice for the Global South, not multi-conflict. Speaking Thursday at the International Security Forum near Moscow, she warned that while power diffusion creates inclusivity, it also risks rivalry, stressing the need for respect for international law and equal agency for developing nations. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval echoed the concern, saying recent conflicts have hurt smaller states most and urged equitable access to critical minerals and energy for Global South partners. Iran's Ali Bagheri Kani praised the forum as a platform for independent states to cooperate and voice concerns. The event runs May 26 to 29 with more than 180 delegations attending high-level meetings, theme sessions and exhibitions.
Parts of North Africa has contributed to attacks, discrimination and expulsion.
South Africa's economic freedom fighters and leader Julius Malema has condemned violence against undocumented African migrants, blaming global inequality for the country's struggles. Speaking Thursday, Malema said anti-African attacks in South Africa can never be justified, stressing that both unemployed South Africans and Zimbabweans are victims of the same exploitative system. He urged the true enemy is not foreign nationals, but global structures that keep Africans poor while elites accumulate wealth. Malema warned that Afrophobia is a betrayal of Pan-Africanism and urged African nations to unite in defending their own interests. His remarks come amid rising anti-immigration protests, diplomatic fallout, and concerns from Ghana and Nigeria over the safety of their citizens in South Africa. Armenia showcased a wide array of military hardware in Yerevan on Thursday during a Republic Day parade. Russian Su-30 SM fighter jet, TOS-1A rocket launchers, Mi-17V helicopters, and Su-25 attack aircraft were among the highlights, alongside Indian Akash air defense systems, reconnaissance drones, and French and American weaponry, including Bastion carriers, Caesar howitzers, and Javelin missiles. More than 1,200 servicemen marched across Republic Square as leaders including Prime Minister Nicole Pashinyan and President Vahan Kachaturian looked on. The parade comes amid Armenia's ongoing tensions with Russia and the Eurasian Economic Union over closer ties with the EU. Republic Day, celebrated May 28, marks the proclamation of Armenia's independence in 1918. A deadly fire at Utumishi Girls Academy in Gilgil, central Kenya, has killed at least 16 students after flames tore through a dormitory on Thursday. Footage showed grieving parents and relatives gathering at the school gate, some embracing in sorrow while others confronted authorities. Kenya Red Cross Secretary General Dr. Ahmed Idris said his organization is supporting families through the painful identification process and providing psychological care until burials take place. Idris described the tragedy as particularly horrifying and urged that mourning be shielded from political interference. Authorities have launched an investigation into the cause of the blaze as calls grow for stronger fire safety standards and emergency preparedness in Kenya's boarding schools.
Высказанные коллегами оценки
Russian President Vladimir Putin announced Friday that trade liberalization talks between the Eurasian Economic Union and India have intensified. Speaking at the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council in Astana, he said the EAEU remains open to equal cooperation, noting recent agreements with Mongolia, the UAE, and Indonesia. Putin stressed that closer Eurasian integration is creating a comprehensive single economic space, boosting business income, and improving quality of life across member states. He pointed to stable growth across most sectors of the economy. The meetings in Astana, held May 28 to 29, bring together leaders from Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan to discuss trade, industry, energy, transport corridors, and digitalization.
Eurasian экономический союз сохраняет положительную динамику.
Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev says a trade turnover among Eurasian Economic Union member states is set to surpass $100 billion. Speaking Friday at the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council in Astana, he noted last year's trade exceeded $95 billion, with growth expected above 6% this year. Tokayev stressed the need for the EAEU to adapt to global economic shift, strengthen resilience, and embrace digitalization and artificial intelligence. He also urged expanding ties with regions including the Arab world, Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, while highlighting ongoing trade talks with India. The Astana meetings, held May 28 to 29, bring together leaders of Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan to discuss trade, industry, energy, transport corridors, and digitalization. Leaders of the Eurasian Economic Union on Friday signed a package of agreements aimed at deepening integration and expanding global partnerships. The documents cover trade liberalization, digitalization, artificial intelligence, and the removal of barriers within the internal market. Russian President Vladimir Putin, Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, and Kyrgyz President Sadi Japarov attended the signing ceremony at the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council meeting in Astana. Officials say the agreement will strengthen the bloc's competitiveness, create a more unified economic space, and open doors to cooperation with new regions. The summit continues with discussions on industry, energy, transport corridors, and digitalization. The Democratic Republic of Congo's Health Minister Samuel Roger Kamba announced Thursday that the first Ebola patient has fully recovered after 2 negative follow-up tests. The patient, a female laboratory worker, was infected with the Bundibugyo strain and developed symptoms before being treated in Bunia, Ituri province. Kamba stressed that while more than 900 suspected cases have been reported, only 125 have been confirmed by laboratory testing, with 105 patients currently receiving care. He urged calm, saying the outbreak remains largely concentrated in Ituri, with only a handful of suspected cases in North and South Kivu. The Ebola outbreak was declared on May 15 by the DRC and Uganda, and the World Health Organization has classified it as a public health emergency of international concern. Uganda has temporarily closed its border with the DRC, allowing only humanitarian and response teams under strict screening.